Welcome to How to Access the All-Important Creative Theta Brainwave State Through Writing. Thank you for joining me. I'm Janet Connor, author of Writing Down Your Soul, the #1 book in the journal writing category, and its companion journal, My Soul Pages. This is the book that moves way beyond journaling, moves your writing all the way into divine dialogue. And The Lotus and the Lily and its companion journal, My Life Pages. This is the book that moves your prosperity practices way beyond what we all hear about the law of attraction and into the original teachings, the identical original teachings of Buddha and Jesus on how to build a truly beautiful and abundant life. And I'm the author of my next book, Soul Vows. Here's the cover on the cover of my publisher's catalog, because it isn't coming out until April of 2015. And there it is in the publisher's catalog, Soul Vows. And I'm the creator of Your Soul Wants 5 Things. I teach all these courses. You can learn about all my books at janetconnor.com. Now, where did all that stuff come from? That book, Writing Down Your Soul, that moves journaling into divine dialogue. That book, Lotus and Lily, that moves prosperity practices into something that hasn't been done for thousands of years. Where did those come from? I promise you, they did not come from this very well-trained left conscious brain. I've got one just like you. All of our families, our languages, our cultures, our educational systems, our spiritual traditions, they all focused on this left conscious mind. You are oblivious of it, but you have been trained and trained and trained to notice and judge, notice differences, make judgments. And our culture needs us to do this because it only values what can be measured and judged. And so all through your educational system and then coming out into the workforce, you have hyper-developed the ultra-fast beta, B-E-T-A, beta brainwave state, because that's that hyper-vigilant. What should I be doing? Is this working? Isn't this working? What is this costing? How am I going to measure this? Am I meeting my goals? Hyper beta brainwave state. But that's a problem. You know why? Big idea #1. You cannot solve a problem in conscious mind. Take that in again. You cannot solve a problem in that well-trained, logical, hypervigilant conscious mind you've got. Think about it. Think about it. I'll give you half a second. If you could solve a problem in conscious mind, you've got a well-trained conscious mind, right? Then you would have. Duh, right? You know what your problems are. Think about them for a second. If you knew how to solve those problems by getting into that judgmental, left, right, measurable, goal-oriented conscious mind, you bloody well would have solved them. Jack Canfield said this most audaciously and crystal clear years ago. He was screaming at the audience and he said, "Stop using conscious mind to solve problems. Use it to make dinner." Big idea #1. You cannot solve a problem in conscious mind. And it wasn't too long, was it? Okay, perfect. Because now I got some real short ones. Because we have to leave enough time for the 7 steps to get into theta, which is the heart of the thing. And we might do 2 of these in a row now, 2 and 3. All right, so that's the problem. I promise not to leave you with a problem. If you can't solve a problem in conscious mind, how can you solve it? Here's another big, big idea. Your best thinking is non-thinking. Take a deep breath, swallow that in. Your best thinking is non-thinking in the theta brainwave state. Now, this might sound like news in the moment. You might not be particularly aware of brain waves, but think for a moment. Think back in time when you had a whoa, aha. When you woke in the morning knowing what to do. When you had some breakthrough idea. Creativity came out of nowhere. You suddenly just knew what to do. A solution to a problem showed up. What were you doing? Where were you and what were you doing? How did the solution come to you without knowing? Now, in this class with me right now, you're going to actually learn how to activate this, but without you knowing a thing about the theta brainwave state. You slipped into theta, and theta is the creativity brainwave. Brain scientists tell us it is the only brainwave state in which you have access to breakthrough thinking and true creativity. Your best thinking is non-thinking in the theta brainwave state. Okay, so we know that you can't solve a problem in conscious mind, and we know that your best thinking is non-thinking, and it happens in the theta brainwave state. So now what? Here comes the really, really good news. Everyone on the planet has natural access to the theta brainwave state twice a day. As you're falling asleep, no matter how hectic, crazy, wild the day has been, your brain has to slip from that hypervigilant, fast, worried, high stress, beta brainwave state and slow down into the alpha brainwave state, many, many layers of it. And then for a moment, might not be very long, it slips into this lush, slow, open theta brainwave state. And where are you going from there? Into delta. And it's in delta that you are asleep. So unless you bollocks this up by taking medication, you naturally, every night, slip through theta. And then in the morning, even with the alarm going off, your brain cannot jump from I'm asleep in delta to go, 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 rush, rush, rush in beta. It feels like it did that because you are so well trained at, oh my God, gotta go, gotta remember what's due today. You see your to-do list before you're even upright. But your brain naturally had a moment, maybe only a moment, but a moment in theta. And then it sped up through many layers of alpha and finally, unfortunately, slipped into that hypervigilant, gotta go, things to remember, beta brainwave state. So the good news is you do have access to theta twice a day. The bad news is you're not taking advantage of it. But stay with me, and I promise I'll teach you how to spend much, much more time in theta. So here's a wonderful big idea. Everybody, that includes you, everybody on the planet has natural access to theta twice a day. Keep going. So you're not alone in this. Turns out that all the great scientists, all the great artists, whether they knew a thing about beta, theta, oops, start over. Scratch. Okay, so I left them with, okay. So how do you access these natural theta moments and really take advantage of them. For that, I'd like to give you the magnificent model of Edison. Thomas Edison invented how many? 1,000. He is the most prolific American inventor, I think, that ever lived. Well, he didn't know anything about brainwaves. He never heard of, he died without knowing anything about the theta brainwave state as a scientific truth. But oh boy, did he experience it. He noticed that when he woke up in the morning, he had his best ideas. So he thought, why am I waking up once a day? This is so inefficient. So he would allow himself to sleep for 4 hours, get up, get a few great ideas, off to the lab we go, and then he's tired. He's only had 4 hours of sleep. So he set up this great big wooden armchair in his lab, and he would take a little power nap, fall asleep. Now it's an armchair, so his arms can rest on those great big, you can see pictures of it online if you Google Thomas Edison. So he's holding two probably pretty heavy metal balls, and he has a very large metal pan underneath the chair. So he goes to take his little power nap, holding these metal balls, resting his arms on the armchair. And of course, sure enough, as he finally falls asleep, his hands are going to naturally let go of the balls, and the balls gently clink on the metal, and he very gently is awakened in the theta brainwave state. So he just sit there. He just sit there and allow all these ideas. Then he'd get up, go to his lab, work for a little bit, come back, take a little power nap, holding those metal balls, and look at the delicious results. And he isn't the only one. Do you know how Einstein discovered the theory of relativity? He was daydreaming. Do you know what brainwave state you're in when you're daydreaming? He was daydreaming. He was daydreaming about what it'd be like to ride a wave of light. Theory of relativity. There is nothing richer than the theta brainwave state. Artists know this, writers know this, scientists know this, inventors know this. Remember the original big idea, you can't solve a problem in conscious mind? Well, your conscious mind is very good at dot-to-dot thinking. If A, then B. If not B, then O. We're all so well trained in this logic, but creativity, breakthrough thinking doesn't follow dot to dot. It leaps over the dots. And the only brainwave state in which you can leap over the dots and get ideas like, let's transform journaling into divine dialogue, writing down your soul. That can only happen in the theta brainwave state. So if you don't believe me, hang on to this great big idea. Edison utilized the magic of theta. Isn't it though? Oh, it's great stuff. This is just, yeah. And there's a whole bunch of other people I could quote, but then we have our 2-hour class again. My classes they're supposed to last 90 minutes. They usually go a little longer than that for 6 weeks, 7 weeks, 8 weeks, 9 weeks. This stuff is so, we're just getting the tiniest little taste here, but that's the point. That's the point. Woohoo! All right, ready? This one's going to be short. Okay, so you could access creativity by taking power naps all day long. It worked for Edison. If it works for you, good luck. I, however, would like to write my books awake. I would like to stay in this office and stay in front of this computer and actually get my books written without taking power naps. So how can we do that? Here's a great, wonderful, relieving big idea. You can learn to access theta while you're awake. I stumbled upon a writing process that almost instantaneously slips you into the theta brainwave state. Oh, what a refreshing, great idea. You can learn to access theta while you're awake. Okay, now comes the long one. I gotta make sure I have my props. Hold on a second. I need a pen. I need my water. I'm not going to use a candle. We'll just mention it. All right. What are we at minutes-wise? Like 16 or something. Oh, good, 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 good. All right. So now let me teach you how to access the theta brainwave state while awake and while writing. It's very simple. There are 7 simple steps that you can follow to get into theta while you're writing. Number 1 is set your intention. Now we know this from quantum physics. The intention of the experimenter, I'm sure you've heard this, alters the outcome of the experiment. Well, in this kind of deep soul writing, getting into theta while writing, you are both the experimenter and the experiment. So set your intention, set this in motion. Now, how do you do that? It's so simple. You can have a thought. One tiny little thought. You could visualize light. You could tap your third eye. You could hold up your hands, put your hands at your heart. It doesn't matter what motion, what symbol, what blessing, what thought, what visualization. It'll take you this long. But don't leave this step out, because this is the step where you're making it clear to the universe, I want to get out of conscious mind. I can't solve my problems in conscious mind. So I am setting my intention to get out of conscious mind and go deep. Number 1, set your intention. Number 2, address the voice by name. Once again, this reiterates, this supports, I'm not solving my problems in conscious mind. I want to talk to something, yes, that is within me, but that is bigger than me, the great paradox of the spiritual way in which we are constructed. So I reinforce that by giving a name to this presence, this wisdom, this infinite source intelligence. Now, for some of us coming out of a spiritual tradition, we might use a religious term. Most people, however, say, dear one, dear beloved, dear teacher, dear guide, dear friend, Abba. Doesn't matter what you call it. And as you work your way through my book, Writing Down Your Soul, there is an experience. It's in the 4th chapter called Who or What is Listening, where you actually get the voice to give you a personal and private name. But for now, write, dear voice. I mean, haven't you heard that in, I think, every spiritual tradition we have? You hear about the still small voice. Well, that still small voice is that very, very big voice of the universe that is alive and breathing inside of you. The subtitle of Writing Down Your Soul is How to Activate and Listen to the Extraordinary Voice Within. So for starters, you could just write, dear voice. Eventually, a very precious and perfect name will be given to you. Number 3, write by hand. Now, this is a frustration for people who, like me, who, unlike me, didn't get to be tortured by their grade school teachers as they were learning cursive. And most of us today, really, all of our communication is on the computer. So can you get into the theta brainwave state on the computer? Yes, it is possible, but it's not easy. And you can understand immediately why. As you're staring at the monitor, your eyes are going to do what your eyes or made to do, and they're going to deliver information back to your optical nerve and into your brain, and your brain's going to go into that lovely judgmental, you didn't say that correctly, that's not spelled correctly, that's not grammatic, you can't say that, what are you talking about? And you're yanked back into conscious mind, whether you want to be or not. And so I highly recommend that until you really understand what it feels like to be in theta, that you write by hand. Doesn't have to be in my journal, my soul pages, but get a journal. And this, by the way, is the ideal size, 5 by 7. 5 by 7. Anything smaller is too small to really let loose. So here's what happens. Think about it for a second. You've got this journal in your lap and you're writing. Now look, even on this video, look what you see. My pen has to go back and forth across the midline. Now, brain people will tell you how unbelievably important this is to integrate, left to right, left to right, left to right, left to right. And on the computer, your hands never cross the midline. There is something neurologically unbelievable juicy about crossing the midline. I explain it a little bit in the science section in Writing Down Your Soul called Why Write. If you can hold a pen, write by hand, you will feel this presence on the page, in your heart, in your arm, in the pen. And if you're typing on the computer, it's much, much harder to perceive. So if you can't hold a pen because of rheumatoid arthritis or any other issue along those lines, or you're blind, then use voice recognition software. That's not my advice. I asked brain scientists, I said, what about people who can't write? And the answer was voice recognition software, which has been so perfected now. So out of your mouth comes both sides of the conversation. Here I am showing, here's what's me talking, and then here's spirits, the divines, conscious, unconscious minds, infinite minds response. And you can talk both parts. So if, however, you can hold a pen, I highly, highly recommend that you give yourself this experience of allowing that which is within you, that is greater than you, the voice, to come through your pen and onto the page, write by hand. The next step, number 4 of these 7, is activate all 5 senses. All 5 senses. The more senses you activate, the more likely you are to slip effortlessly into the theta brainwave state. Now, you don't have to worry about vision. You're looking at what you're writing on the page. You don't have to worry, it turns out, about hearing. Now, you can play theta music. You can get a theta music CD on my website. You can play Gregorian chant or some other meditative music if you like, but you don't have to, because the brain scientists, when they put, all those fabulous things on your brain, they have proven that when you're writing, your brain is hearing. All the parts of your brain responsible for hearing are firing. That is why your mother and your teachers always yelled at you to take notes while you were studying. There's actually an imprinting, an auditory imprinting happening in your brain when you write. You're not just remembering what you see, you're remembering what you hear. Double memory. It's fabulous stuff. Really, we are constructed in the most divine, miraculous way. So you don't have to worry about activating the sense of hearing. You are hearing what you write. And you don't have to obviously give any thought to the sense of touch. It is a physical activity. So that only leaves smell and taste. So you absolutely want to activate the sense of smell. It is your strongest sense. We now have all kinds of science about the fact that your limbic system can memorize, has memorized, is holding right now over 25,000 distinct senses. This is far and away your most powerful sense. It activates emotions you don't even know you have. So don't leave it behind. Now all I do is light a scented candle. But you could have fresh flowers in the room. On a beautiful day, you could open the window. You could have a piece of fruit. It doesn't matter. Essential oils. Doesn't matter how you do it. But never leave behind this magnificent sense of smell. So that only leaves taste. Now, I did wonder about that one. How in the world, what does taste have to do with sitting there writing? And you can read the whole story in Writing Down Your Soul about how a blind Navajo shaman taught me the wisdom of writing, drinking water while writing. But here's the end result. After you've finished writing, you have a glass of water beside you as you're writing, and whatever wisdom, whatever blessings, whatever came through on the page, you slowly and consciously remember them, whisper them out loud, and drink your water. All the wisdom that happened on the page is in this water. If you want an understanding of the truth of that scientifically, look up Professor Emoto, who just died this year, with his incredible research, Messages in Water. Water that is blessed has an exquisite molecular structure. Well, if you've been having a conversation with the divine by whatever name or nature you perceive it, with a glass of water right beside it, then whatever wisdom came through your hand on this page is also in this water. It's an incredibly holy way to finalize your writing practice. Don't choke on your water. So there you have it. You've activated all 5 senses. So the 6th important aspect of these 7 steps to get into the theta brainwave state is to ask questions. Questions are absolutely the magic. I had a confirmation of that this morning reading Marion Woodman's magnificent book, Bone. Perhaps you're aware of her work. She is probably the most famous Jungian dream analyst on the planet. I read this morning in Bone. Listen to this. Once the question is in consciousness, the answer is constellated in the unconscious. Or, as I have come to understand it, the answer often lies in the unconscious, waiting for the question to be consciously asked, which takes us back to that big idea number 1. Can't solve a problem in conscious mind, but oh my goodness, can you solve a problem in the theta brainwave state, activating it with questions. So for now, don't worry about, well, what are the good questions? What questions work? What questions don't? There's 35 pages, kind of a PhD on questions in writing down your soul. Ask open-ended questions and simply allow them to come through, which is the next critical step in the 7 steps to get into theta. Write fast. Fast. If you write slowly, then you're judging. It's so easy for you to say, oh, I didn't mean that. No, wait a minute. I shouldn't be saying that. Oh, wait a second. I don't really feel that way. If you write really quickly, you leave your conscious mind so far behind that it doesn't have a chance to edit what you've written. And then the final step is to be grateful. Just be grateful. It's that simple. Say thank you. Because you know what? You were heard. And that is enough. So those are the 7 steps to get into the theta brainwave state. Set your intention, address the voice by name, write by hand, activate all 5 senses, ask questions, write as fast as you possibly can, no editing, no judging, no correct spelling, no punctuation, no capitals. It's going to look a total mess. This is great. And number 7, be grateful. This is my gift to you. It's a huge idea. In 7 simple steps, you can get into theta while writing. So now where are we in time? Yeah, I knew I went too long there. Okay. Okay. And these now are pretty short. In fact, I had to sort of come up with them in order to come up with 10. So this one's going to be really, really, really short. 7, 10, shit. And Theos kind of, forces you. 10. So I do have some cute, really short ones here. All right, so here's the next one. So you ready for another big idea? This one might kind of startle you for a moment because you've been trained your entire life to come up with the right answer, right? That's how you get your little A. That's how you get your 4.0. That's how you get your master's degree, coming up with the right answer. Well, here's a really big idea. You don't want answers. You want better questions. Okay, take a deep breath, because that goes against absolutely everything that your Western education has trained you, but you don't want answers. Now, think about it for a second. Once you have an answer, you're full. 2 + 2 is 4. Okay, done. You're full. You're not going to do any more exploring. You're not going to think about it anymore. You've got your answer. So you're finished. You're done. So you think you want answers in life. Mathematics, great. Go get your answers. You think you want answers in life, but you don't. What you want is a better question. I'll prove it to you. I heard John Basil, who is one of the great Shakespearean acting teachers, talk about Shakespeare one day. And he said something very provocative. He said Shakespeare was the greatest dramatist that ever lived because he understood one thing. Man, I stopped what I was doing and paid attention. Shakespeare was the greatest dramatist that ever lived because he understood one thing. What's the one thing? Listen to this. Answers fill you. Questions open you. Think about Shakespeare's scenes. The great questions, to be or not to be. That is the question. Think about it. Go and go back and do your English Shakespeare. Question after question after question. Trust me on this. You're not looking for answers. You're looking for much deeper, richer, soul-stimulating questions. Digest that big idea. Try to say it in the first person. I don't want answers, but man, oh man, do I want better questions. Oh, wait, I need a prop. You need a prop? No, good. Big prop. Actually, it is a big prop. All right, so now we're going to don't leave your juiciest ideas on the pillow in the morning. All right. You ready for another big idea? This half hour with me, I trust, is really exploding a few what you thought were truths in your life and opening you to a richer, more creative, and much more exciting way to live. So here's a fun idea. Don't leave your juiciest ideas on the pillow in the morning. Do you remember when I said, okay, when you're waking up, you come out of those real slow delta and you have a moment, might only be a moment, in theta, and then your brain's going to get faster and faster and work your way up to beta, unless you're really clever and don't allow it to get into beta. I'm working on that. Well, theta in the morning is what I call my juice. This is, I think, what makes me a really, really successful writer. The title of all my books, Come to Me Lying in Bed in the Morning in the Theta Brainwave State. The name of my radio show, For 3 days, I had been in left, doing exactly what I know not to do. Big left conscious mind, trying to solve a problem. What should I call this radio show? Calling my friends. And then, yeah, I got a bunch of good ideas, but none of them had that woof. So as I was falling asleep on Sunday night, knowing I had to turn in the name of the radio show on Monday, in the theta brainwave state, I said to my unconscious mind, hey, boys and girls, we need a name for a radio show, and it's got to be really sexy, really exciting, really good. So thank you in advance for the name of my radio show. And in the morning, I do not get up, I do not move, I do not open my eyes. I lie perfectly still on the pillow. Now, I've actually heard from people that have their PhDs in dreams. Did you know you could get your PhD in dreams? That this is of the utmost importance. Do not move. Do not open your eyes. Do not roll over. Do not turn on a light. Just lie there. Just lie there. Because you're still in theta. So you don't have to do anything. And at first it could feel a little like, this is a little weird, but you will train yourself to just lie perfectly still, and in theta, ideas will just show up. You'll remember your dreams. Oh, oh, oh. And slowly begin to do some self-analysis. What was my soul telling me? What was my unconscious helping me with last night in these dreams? As you lie perfectly still. Well, that morning, because I'm so well trained, lying perfectly still on the pillow, I heard, and I have to put that in air quotes because I heard him in my head, the soul directed life. Then I opened my eyes. Whoa, thank you. I could never have come up with that. And almost without exception, the first thing my guests say every week is, God, I love the name of this radio show. Well, didn't come from Janet's conscious mind. I love the name of this radio show too. And all I had to do was say thank you. My newsletters, my editing, if I'm in the middle of writing a book, as I'm lying in theta in the morning, I'll simply, you could say, be told or shown what to edit, what to change, a new idea will pop in, a visual of the book. That's what happened to me for Soul Vows. I saw an essential visual. There is no way that that came from my conscious awareness. It didn't come from dot to dot thinking. It didn't come from my conscious logical mind. It just came from totally being open in the creative theta brainwave state. So how are you going to do that? You go to bed, bringing with you a pad and a cheap ballpoint pen already ready to go. Not your journal and a pen. You have to just this. And so I always go to bed with a pen at the top. I just wouldn't dream of going to bed without this on my nightstand, because once you're really good at being in theta, this is sort of the bad news. You're awakened because you're so available in the middle of the night. You'll be awakened. And so yes, you have to roll over, but you don't have to open your eyes. You're not going to be given 5 pages. It might be a phrase, a word, a thought, an image, and you just roll over in the middle of the night and jot it down. This is very important, however. Once you've jotted something down here, put your pen down below it and below it and below it. I only made that mistake once. Oy, oy, oy. I had all these great ideas in the middle of writing down your soul, and I couldn't read a thing the next day. I learned that lesson. And then in the morning, don't move. Now, if you have to set an alarm, go ahead, set the alarm. Reach over and press the snooze button. I think those last usually about 5 minutes. That's plenty of time. And just lie perfectly still. That's it. Don't do any thinking. Don't go chasing any ideas. Just be an open container. Just be available. And over time, I promise you, poof, ideas will be put on the pillow for you. So then when you are ready to wake up, take your notepad and see what came in the middle of the night. It's a wonderful way to live. Please don't leave your juiciest ideas on the pillow in the morning. Grab them. Okay, that went way longer than I was expecting. Now, are we over 30? Well, I only have two to go, and they're both short. All right. So, yeah, so it'll end up being 40 minutes max. Oh, well. I know you want that shorter. We could redo that one. It's so cute. I know. It's so cute. Okay. Right. And I hope the day comes. Once my son got out of high school, which I thought was going to kill both of us because he had to set the alarm for 5:45. It's like, oh, the American educational system is so evil that it takes these poor little kids and turns them into stress heads, you know, starting in grade school. But high school is a form of torture because the kids should be sleeping till 9:30 or 10 o'clock in the morning naturally, and we wake up. Oh dear God. Anyway, once he went to college, I never set an alarm unless I have to make a plane. Never set an alarm. And I didn't say this on the thing just then, but I lie in bed probably 30 minutes every morning. That's when I do my work. That's that's when I do my work. Then all I have to do is come in here and type it. Oh, fabulous way to live. It's so if you can, or give yourself occasional days, you can, because you don't have to go to the office, do you? Yeah. If it's humanly possible, give yourself. You just want to stretch, which is the next thing. We just want to stretch that muscle. All right. So let me look at my morning theta. Oh, yeah. Okay. So here comes a really fun, big idea. A little bit of theta leads to a lot of theta. Theta is a muscle, so to speak. It's just like a spiritual muscle, a psychological muscle, a brain muscle. You start practicing getting in the theta brainwave state with, let's say, 10 minutes of deep soul writing every day, or as close to every day as you can, just to get yourself into that flow. You slowly become aware of, oh, that's what it feels like. That's this sensation. That's how I open myself to this creative universe. And eventually you begin to slip into theta around the clock without having to get in your wooden chair like Edison with his metal balls. Of course, you have your morning theta. That's an absolute fountain of creativity. But anytime all day that you relax that hypervigilant brain of yours, step out of judgment, step out of beta, you can slip into more and more time in deeper and deeper alpha and occasional theta. For example, the shower. Oh my God. What a glorious time when super busy mothers say, excuse me, I don't have any time to do any deep soul writing. When can I possibly get into theta brainwave state? The shower. It's all that beautiful white noise. It's warm. You've got all those negative ions going. And if you're one of those nutcases that has a radio in there, get it out right now. Nothing in the shower. For God's sakes, you're listening to the news in the shower. Please kill the thing. No, you want to be open and available. My editor called the shower the phone booth to God. I get the best downloads in the shower. Driving. Now, not if there's somebody else in the car, otherwise, they might call the people. But when you're alone, most of us commute alone. Most of us are alone in the car. Even after you've dropped the kids off in the car line, you got a little bit of time alone in the car. You can start the conversation. So this would be in deep soul writing. Now you can do it talking. I do this all the time in the car, and nobody thinks you're crazy anymore. They just think you're on a cell phone. So you say your part out loud, you start this conversation, and any thought, any idea, you just speak it out loud. Now, if you're in the middle of the freeway and this fabulous idea comes through, don't panic. Just speak it out loud. Say it again. It's only going to be a phrase or a sentence. Say it out loud. Say it out loud. Chant it. Get it in your body. Get it in your brain. And then when you get home, when you get to a red light, write it down. Yes, it's true. I have paper next to me in the car too. I have paper with me absolutely everywhere. Walking. Now, not if you're walking with someone. I highly, highly recommend when you go for a walk, go alone and no cell phone. Got that? No cell phone. Just be open. That's what the theta brainwave state is about. You're being open, open to the universe, open to yourself at the deepest level, open to breakthrough thinking. So just go for a walk. Smell the air. Feel the sun on your neck. Just be still. Sitting in a chair and staring out the window. Fabulous. I can't recommend it highly enough. Just daydreaming, in other words. So slip into Einstein mode and do more daydreaming. And then reading. I can be reading a book and I don't even think I'm thinking about a problem, but it's cooking in there in unconscious mind. And I'll be reading and oh my God, John O'Donohue just said exactly what I needed. There it is on the page. Cooking. I don't know what it is about cooking, but I can be sitting there chopping in the kitchen and pshoo, there is an unbelievable download. And of course, meditation. Meditation gets you in the theta brainwave state, and you can come up with 20 more. Those of you that are long distance swimmers, oh God, there's nothing like swimming to being open, because what is your brain working on? It can just shut up and leave you open. A little bit of theta, starting in deep soul writing, leads to a whole lot of theta going on. Okay, that went way more than I expected. All right, but this one's short. I promise. Yeah, this is just my wrap up. All right. So I want to leave you with just one more idea. It's really the only big idea. And I don't even think it's a big idea. It's just who you are. This is how you're constructed. You are a creative being. John O'Donohue says we were created to create. What do you think it means to be a co-creator? This is who you are. This is how you're wired. This is how you're constructed. Theta is simply the magic to a creative, surprising, joy-filled, soul-directed life. And it's easy because it's who you are. I've simply shared with you some fun ways through writing and taking a shower and walking and lying in bed in the morning that you have access to the way you were constructed. Yes, your educational system has spent 20 plus years beating it out of you, but you are wired to be a creative genius. This is who you are. You are a theta head. So join me in this great, great knowing. Theta is the magic to a beautiful, creative, joy-filled, soul-directed life.